Hello, I'm PJ Bishop, and welcome back. It's been a rough April so far for us. We're 13 and 16, not that far off from 500. At one point, it was really bad. We were 5 and 13 at one point, so we have played much better as of recently, and I think things will get better. Like I said, my offense was really good, and the stats say that. We're first in runs scored, second in batting average, first in on-base percentage, second in on-base plus slugging percentage. They were tied for fifth with home runs and first in stolen bases, which that's more on my part because I'm highly aggressive with that. But really good base running, too. Where I said we would be hurt the most is the pitching, and it has. We're last in runs against. Starters are 14th. The bullpen is not that much better at 11th. But as usual, I do lead tied for the league leading strikeouts, as I do create a staff I form a staff that's going to be strikeout heavy. And they are. It's just they're giving up a lot more runs than I would like, obviously. Being last is not good. Not what I call good. Offensively, we're there. It's just we're giving up too many runs. I mean, there's been many games where we end up losing toward the end, or we blow a lead. Sometimes even a good lead. Our record, I think, is a far cry from where we should be. I think we're better than 13 and 16. It's just been a rough start so far. Hopefully, start of May, we'll start seeing some better performance. And we are starting to get healthy. We're getting some of our starters might come back, and that will help us compete and perhaps be better on the pitching end with the starters returning that I consider better than what I have currently in my rotation. But if you were taking a peek, you'd probably notice that there is no Chris Sale, because there is no Chris Sale. But we'll go over that in a little bit. First, we're going to go over we had a lot of transactions. I do like to stay active and try to improve my team as much as I can throughout the season. Starting with relief pitchers Richard Belier and Ryan Brazier. I waived them and designated them for assignments. Both cleared waivers. Tried to send them both to the minor league. They were not having it. Ended up releasing both of them. So they are no longer part of the organization. And then we did have an unfortunate injury. And that was to Adam Duvall suffered a forearm strain, which, by the way, was a non-baseball injury. But nonetheless, he suffered it. He's out 4 to 5 weeks. And it kind of stinks because he was playing really well. I mean, his on-base and slugging percentage was .965. I think he had 5 homers in just 13 games, so he was playing really well. It was kind of kind of dampened our mood when we lost him. Still out for 2 more weeks. So it kind of did stink that we lost him. But in his place, I did end up calling Greg Allen, a decent center fielder, or a good center fielder, but not quite so much on the offensive side. I didn't even know he existed. 30-year-old, barely has played in the pros, 3 years, 46 days. I liked him because he was playing really well in the minors. I think he was crushing it in the minor leagues when I called him up at the time. Yeah, over 1,100 OPS. And he's playing well for us. Not great, but well. I let him start 13 games. He hit 288, stole 14 bases, only got caught 3 times. So really good on the base pass. So I did like him, but I did end up benching him after I redid my lineup for May. I wanted more offense and less. Even though we're number 1 in offensive output, I still wanted more offense. He's probably going to be my first option off of the bench as an outfielder, because I do like the fact that he can play anywhere. And he's dangerous. Obviously, he's dangerous with 14 stolen bases already in 13 games. So he's got a stolen base in more than one stolen base per game, which is insane. Imagine if he played an entire season, he would be an absolute beast. This isn't great, but it's just enough. Like I said, it gets him on base just enough, and he's just good enough offensively to be rostered. And then we suffered another injury. Relief pitcher Zach Kelly had to place him on the 10-day IL. He's out 4 to 5 weeks with a sprained ankle. So I ended up calling up. I selected Brian Mata's contract, and he ended up moving actually to number 3 starter spot. And I moved Carter Crawford to the bullpen. But now Mata he's a long reliever. I think he's my second option. So is Crawford. They both end up second options. Mata not playing as well as I would hope. He's could be on the verge of being sent back down if he continues this poor trend of play. So far, he still has a spot, but it could be sent back down to the minors for some more seasoning. And then we suffered another injury. Left fielder Rob Snyder placed on the 10-day IL, out 6 to 7 weeks with a fractured wrist. I ended up selecting Emmanuel Valdez's contract. He's no longer on the active roster, as he was just flat out terrible. Sent him back down to the minor leagues. Relief pitcher Matt Dermody was sent down to the minor leagues. And relief pitcher Garrett Whitlock activated from the IL. I did like Garrett. And he came on as a starter, but I switched him to the reliever, and he is a much better reliever than he is a starter. That's more to do with his stamina than it is with his anything else. Because he's got good stuff, good movement, good control. Overall, he's a really good pitcher. I'm kind of happy we have it, and we have him for so cheap too, for $1 million. This is probably the best deal I'll ever get, and we have him tied up to 2028. I wonder what his contract is up to then. All right, it does get much more expensive, which I figured it would. By the time we can opt out if he's playing, but I think he's gonna be good all the way up to that. So it's a pretty good contract, not the worst, but really did like him. Glad he got activated. Hopefully he can help us. He's not playing that great right now. He is getting better over the last 2 games. I think he's only played, how many innings has he played for us so far? Just 5 innings so far. It's all right here. First game did get a save, but ended up giving up a run. He's given up a run in every single game. 3 runs last game, so that was a real rough one. Blown save, too. So maybe he's not settling in as a closer, because he doesn't have the elite stuff. He's just really good overall. But you'd think he would be able to strike out guys, because he does have high stuff. He's really good stuff. So I'm not sure why he's struggling in that category. I was expecting a little better. That's kind of why I made him a closer. If he struggles all season like this, then in the offseason, I'll go off and make a change to get someone that's more of a closer, your traditional style, where they do strike out majority of the guys they face. I ended up trading Kensley Jansen to the Rays because of Garrett Whitlock being moved to closer. I ended up trading Jansen. I didn't think I needed Kensley Jansen. I ended up trading him for starting prospect or pitching prospect Luis Patino. Luis Patino was placed on the active roster. I made him my number 3 starter. He still is, but he's struggling. Not quite having the... I like him. I think he has the potential to be good and last in my rotation for a long time. He's just not playing well. He's had some good games. 5 innings. He's had some good games. He's just not... And he's had some really bad... He's had a couple games where he's given up way too many runs. 5 runs here, 6 runs here. 3 runs in his last game. But did have a couple of good ones. It's just he's struggling with keeping... Is he giving up home runs? No, he's just struggling with his control, which is expected. It's not quite there yet. So when he's not striking out people and he's giving up too many walks, he's prone to give up some runs, and he has been. In fact, every game I think he's played, he's given up a run. 2 runs is at the least, so yeah. Every game he's given up at least 2 runs or more. So not exactly what you want. In fact, in his first start, he was unimpressive. It was at Baltimore. He was lasted just 3 innings. Uh, gave up 7 hits, 6 runs, all earned. Walked 4 and struck out 5. I do like the fact that he struck out 5 in 3 innings, but he also walked 4 in 3 innings, and then gave up 6 runs. So it was not a impressive debut, but we'll live with it. Now for the biggest trade that I made, and it wasn't because I wanted to. Chris Sale was traded to the Astros for Framber Valdez. Now Chris Sale demanded to be traded. It wasn't like something that I planned to do. He was just fed up and angry and wanted to be traded, so I did. Traded him to the Astros. Had to eat most of his contract too, unfortunately. Where is that? Yeah, I'm still holding 75% of his contract because I couldn't get anything good back if I left it just straight up Chris Sale for whatever. Because I wanted at least a starter back that was worthy. And this was the only way, was still retaining 75% of his contract, which stinks because he's on the books for 3 more years. I hope he retires. He actually threatened me with retirement. He said he'll either retire or trade me. And I was tempted to let him retire because it was like, he retires, like I get his $26 million off the books, and he's not that great anymore. But then I was like, I do want something back, and I did. So I ended up getting Framber Valdez, who's now my number 1 starter. Hasn't played for me yet. Framber Valdez traded Chris Sale, placed Ramvale on my active roster. Made him the number 1 starter pitcher, so he's instantly my number 1. Not my typical style for number 1, as he doesn't have the elite stuff or the really good stuff, but he's a good pitcher. Not going to give up a ton of home runs. Although this year he is struggling. He's actually giving up 2.4 home runs per inning, or per 9, which is not usual for him. He's walking a ton of guys, and he's not striking out really anybody. But if you look at his history, the year before was just half a home run per 9. The year before was under 1 as well. Walked way less, batter and a half, and struck out a little more. I'm hoping that he returns more to this. And he was just an all-star last year, so I think we got a steal. Now, he is up for arbitration, and I'm sure I'm going to have to start paying him. But it's not bad. Arbitration estimate is $9.3 million, so he's not ridiculous, which is still less than what Chris Sale would want. I think I won the deal here, despite having to pay his contract for the next 3 years, just because I think I got the better pitcher. And then I made some moves at the end of the month that I was hoping to make me more competitive. So, more so, like I said, to make me more competitive, I sent down second baseman David Hamilton to AAA, as he was playing just completely terrible. And I ended up calling up Nick Sogrod. I selected his contract, but then I made a trade and ended up sending him right back down. So he never even got to appear in a game. We already talked about Emmanuel Valdez. I sent him down AAA because he was just completely struggling. And I ended up calling up or selected the contract of this guy here, Narciso Crook, left fielder. I called him up because he was crushing it in AAA. Over 1,000 OPS, playing really well. So I figured if he's got a hot bat down there, maybe he can bring it over to the major league level and continue his hot play. Because he does have some pop. Not going to be an on-base guy, but he does have pop. Still developing, but I don't think he'll ever reach his full potential. Because he's nearly 28 years old. You're pretty much done developing by then. So I don't expect him to get any better when it comes to this stuff here. But I do like his home run power. So I do have him. I think I even have him inserted into the number 8 slot. So it's the lineup, as you can see, is also got a little bit of a different look. Guys got moved around a little bit according to how they've been playing throughout the year. And then here's where it got interesting. I ended up trading Reese McGuire as I didn't feel like sending him down to the minors because he was struggling quite mightily offensively. Despite his defensive capabilities, he was just not providing any offense at all to where it was even worth keeping. Even though he's only coming in just to back up Wong when Wong gets tired. But I'm trying to have a better offense. I want a good offense, even though we already are. But if we do make the postseason, I would rather have guys that can get me some runs, and still be a good catcher. I'm not just going to put a scrub in there. So I ended up trading Reese McGuire to Cleveland for shortstop Gabriel Arias and pitching prospect Joey Cantillo. And then I selected the contract of Ronaldo Hernandez and sent down second baseman Nick Sogard. Mainly because I got Gabriel Arias, who I like way better than Sogard. And Gabriel Arias is also a really good shortstop now. I think Gabriel Arias was a steal. He's 23 years old, so we have him locked up for a while. He's set to improve dramatically. He's going to be he's going to have really good hitting if he develops fully. I don't know if he will because it's a long way to go here, and he's still in his early 20s, so it's not like he's old, but this is just a long way to go. And I don't know if this will get here, but it doesn't matter as much to me because defensively he is absolutely amazing. I love him defensively. I love the fact that he's already kind of there. Like, he's an average player right now without fully being developed, and I still think he will develop more. So he'll definitely be above average, if not good, by the time he's done developing. And although he wasn't doing much for Cleveland, I don't think they only let him play in 4 games. So he's only seen 4 at-bats. Last year, he only saw 16 games. He never really was that amazing in the minors, so I'm hoping to turn things around here, or at least hoping that he gets things clicking here for us. He's definitely going to be a utility player for me, especially on the infield. He can play pretty much, and he can really play outfield, so he can play any position other than catcher. I think I can, so he's my first option as far as filling in for somebody, because he really can play short, second, outfield, really any outfield. He won't be great at center. He won't be great at right, but he'll be good enough at all of them. So I like seeing that I have someone that's this versatile, and I think can still develop and become a good player. So looking forward to perhaps seeing him in my lineups more often. And then another guy that I added that I liked so much was the pitching prospect Joey Cantillo. But I liked him enough to go ahead and place him on my roster. I think he's really good. 23 years old. He's got exactly what I like as far as stuff. I think he's going to become a really good pitcher with a chance to become maybe a future setup man, closer kind of guy. If he can get this a little bit better, I think we have a future as a setup, possible closer, but setup at the worst. I think even backup closer. But I think he has a good chance. I mean, he looks good, and we have control of him. He's never played in the majors, but was absolutely destroying minor league pitching or minor league hitting. 2.5 ERA, had a whip of .89, which is ridiculous. Was giving up the long ball a little more than you would expect with his movement. Walked less than expected, but was striking out at a 13 per 9 clip, which I like that. But I think we got a steal for Reese McGuire. I think we got an absolute steal from the Cleveland Indians. Sorry, Guardians. But So we lose Reese McGuire, but and the guy we called up, which is catcher Ronaldo Hernandez, I don't think he's even that bad. So this is kind of a win for me. I feel like we improved my team with one trade. Like Connor Wong is definitely my starter. I like him a lot. But Ronaldo Hernandez, not that bad offensively. And not really that bad defensively. Catcher ability is he's got an arm, but that's not as valuable anymore as it used to be. Uh, an average catcher. He can steal bases as well, and his offense should be better, and he was playing much better. At least that's in AAA. I don't know how he's going to pan out for me, but he's pretty much been a career man. 3 years in AAA. I think it's time he has a chance to show what he can because he's done well. Like he's holding his own in AAA, so we'll see what he does. Primary backup, so he'll definitely see game time. But I'm excited. We move on from Reese McGuire and end up getting, I think, 3 better players if you count the guy that I called up. And then relief pitcher Josh Winikowski was sit down at AAA. That was to make room for Joey Cantanello. And that was all the moves that I made. So I made a ton of moves in hopes of having a better month of May. Because we're not that far off. 13-16, and I think we lost some games that we could have easily won. And if the pitching improves, we should be right there in there. Wild card, we're not even that far behind the wild. We're just 2 games back in the wild card. But again, it's still really early. Things can change instantly. One injury away. Let's take a look at my batting leaders. So I did change my lineup. So now hitting leadoff for me is Alex Verdugo, and he deserves it. He's batting .361. You wouldn't think he'd be that great. He's not going to strike out as an on-base guy, but he's done really well. I think his on-base right now is .413 on base, .907 OPS, a ridiculous average. I don't know if he can sustain this all season. But for now, we're going to ride his bat, and we're going to let him be leadoff. And he can steal little bases. I think he's got 4 stolen bases right now. Not as caught stealing 0 times, so that's good. 4 for 4. But I do like this. He's struck out 7 times and walked 7 times. So he's got a 1-to-1 ratio there, which is extremely good. That's why he's leading off. Masasaka Yoshida is playing absolutely fabulous for us. Batting over .352. I told you he was going to be a high average guy, and he is. Batting .352. He's got an excellent on-base percentage. Could justify being my leadoff guy. But I like the fact that he is definitely going to advance whoever gets on. And the guy ahead of him has a higher average, lower on base, but higher average. But he can also steal bases. He really can't steal, which is why I don't have him leading off. If he was a little better in stolen base category and speed, I would have him leading off. But I think he's an excellent number 2, and he is. Especially with this kind of average. If he can keep this up all season long, this is elite level of play in my opinion. 903, .352. I can't complain. And Rafael Devers remains at the number 3 spot. Really no surprise there. Tristan Casas, our main power guy, at number 4. Connor Wong, surprisingly, at number 5. A cleanup guy. I didn't really think he was going to be a cleanup guy, but he is. It did help that Duvall is out, so someone had to step in. But Connor Wong is playing much better than I expected. He's got an OPS of .865, nearly batting .300, slugging almost .500. But he's got 10 stolen bases. Only got caught once, so he's 10 for 11, which is fantastic, especially out of a catcher. So, even though he's average defensively, I'm hoping the other guy that we called up can be similar to this. He makes up for it in the offensive side, I think. So I can live with that. Already a 1.3 WAR. And we're only a quarter way through the year, so yeah, he'll definitely be 5 or 6 wins above replacement. Number 6, Justin Turner moved down from leadoff man to number 6. He wasn't terrible. He was just not great. An OPS, an on-base percentage of just 323, OPS of 699, not even that good, really. So I think a 6 spot is good enough. I mean, it's after all my main guys, the 1 through 5, and then he comes in after them. Can't really complain there. Number 7 is Enrique Hernandez. He was tough because I wasn't sure, because he should be playing better than what he is. Like, this should be better than 571. 571 is terrible. It's extremely bad. What was it last year? Last year was 629. He's never been that great, other than, well, that's only 2 games. Can't really count that. But 786 is good. It's above the average. It's just right now he's playing at 571. So I'm hoping he has a good month. If he continues to have a bad month, Gabriel Arias may have a say about whether he gets to start or not. And I hate to bench somebody that's making $10 million. That's why I didn't send him down to the minor leagues. It didn't make sense to send him down when you make $10 million. And he probably has no option years available anyway. So you're kind of forced playing guys like that. And of course, we already looked into him. He's our number 8, mainly because he can provide some power. This is minor league stats, so don't get too excited. I wish if he can do this in the major leagues, we got ourselves a new number 3. And then batting out of the 9 spot is our shortstop Christian Arroyo. Again, not great. So our shortstop and second baseman. This is where Gabriel Arias could make his move. If any of these guys get cold, I have no problems in putting in Gabriel. As defensively, he's better than both of them, and offensively, he's got the potential to be better than both of them. But he's been kind of struggling. He was cold at one point. He has gotten better, so I think he's picking it up. As you can see, not that long ago, he had a 539 OPS, and in just a few games in a row, he's got up to 688. So he has been playing better as of late. I'm hoping that continues, because we do need a better play. Because he's not as far as shortstop is concerned, he's not fantastic. So I don't really. You need to be better offensively if you're going to be playing shortstop. If you're not a defensive stud, if you're a defensive stud and you're playing that level of offense, okay, I can live with that. But he's not. So that's pretty much it for this video. Oh, I did make a draft board, which was pretty cool. I recommend doing this in your saves. So I have my draft board. I believe I have, should be all players. There we go, all players. Now, I set it to guys that I think that I will draft and have a chance to make my. I mean, yes, there's some guys down here with the half stars. MLB potential and 1.5. I hope not to have to draft these guys, but I will if they're available, because they fit what I like. So maybe they're only 2 stars, but they have like potentially 65 stuff. And you never know with injuries. You might end up having to call the guy up just for a couple of weeks, and he'll be serviceable for a couple of weeks. Ideally, I like to draft as many of these high-end guys as possible, but you won't get them all. Now, what you notice, I have 675 players targeted. This guarantees that everybody from my list here, I'm guaranteed to draft someone from my targeted list, from what I call my draft board. So every player that I draft, I would have already scouted, I would have looked at, and I would have liked. Like, I view him as a potential member of my organization, and also someone that I wouldn't mind having on my major league roster. That's what all this means, is that I wouldn't mind having him on my major league roster. Because even if all 20 or all 30 teams in every single round pick up everybody that I have, 1 through whatever, I will still get somebody that I have listed on my board. So I do recommend doing that. Create a draft board. Create guys put guys on there that fit your play style. Now, what I prioritized was potential first. Obviously, if you're really good, above average, I'm going to go after you first, and we'll figure out where to put you and what you can do. After that, I looked at guys' batting potential, or contact potential, and power potential to figure out who's going to be able to hit well and who's going to be able to crush some home runs. That's valuable to me. Everything else I didn't care about. I didn't care about your K rate, your walk rate, your speed, your stealing. None of that stuff matters to me because if you're not able to get on base or if you're not able to crush balls out of the park, I don't care. Like those other things really don't mean much to me. After that, I went for pitching stuff. As you know, I like to get guys that can strike out players. So I looked at anybody that was going to be above average as far as striking out guys, and I added them in there. And then after that, I went to defensive. I looked through every position, or what I would think would fit every position, from catcher to out to from shortstop to first baseman. If you could play for me defensively, perhaps you're not as good offensively, but you're an elite looking shortstop. You got 70 range, 70 air, 65 arm, and 55 double play. That's elite. That is a shortstop that could give you 7 wins just on his defensive capabilities alone, 6 to 7 wins. And that's worthy. That's worth enough for me. And then for the last slot would have been my guys with high leadership skills, high intelligence, and high work ethic. Those are the 3 personality traits that I look for: high leadership, high intelligence, and high work ethic. Because those guys could end up outplaying their potential and be better than advertised. And then, as you can see here, I did scout anybody that was average or below. Anybody that was average or below, I end up scouting them to make sure that everybody is high or very high. This way, I get the most accurate read on all the players. Because again, this is your future organization. This is the future of your team. You get 20 picks, sometimes more, depending if you lost anybody in free agency. So you want to spend every pick as possible to making the right decision, because it's going to come back to you a few years down the road when you realize that you have no one to call up, your organization is lacking talent, and you don't want to be in that situation. Let's see how our top prospects are doing. So Blaze Jordan, currently in the AA ranks. I say he's about average. He's got a 705 OPS right now for AA Portland. 705 OPS, just hitting 226. Not that great, really. So he'll remain in AA for quite some time. Is it his first action at AA? Yeah, his first season in AA, so you expect some growing pains here as he's brought up to a new playing level. Because AA and AAA is what you'll consider your much better competition, and those guys, sometimes if you're lucky enough, you can bring a guy up from AA to the majors. I prefer to let them play at every level first before I move them. And then we have second baseman Marcelo Meyer. As you can see, he's in high A, and he's on fire currently. Currently number 24 overall prospect. What did Blaze Jordan, was he ranked? Currently unranked. But Marcelo Meyer at second base, high A, currently up to number 24. He's absolutely crushing it. He's still at high. Even though he's crushing it, I did not promote him to AA, as I don't think skill-wise he would have been good enough, and I didn't want to hamper his progress by calling him up too early. So I like to see him improve a little first before I send him up to AA. But he's definitely worth. I mean, if he continues like this, if he still continues like this, it'll be hard to keep him at high A when he's batting over 1,000 OPS. So he's really looking good for us. And then third baseman Cutter Crawford hasn't played yet because it's the rookie league in the Florida complex. And then left fielder Nick York at AA. He is, again, playing roughly average, I would say. OPS is 732, batting average is 244. But he's playing better than last year. It sucks to see him play at this level, but that was at the year before. so I don't know if he'll get there. Again, as I said, he's definitely fallen off a little. I wasn't too amazed by him, but he's improved from last year, and he's in a higher level at AA. So that's a sign of good things to come, perhaps. And he's still young, 21 years old. Then we have center fielder Miguel Blees at low A. He's playing extremely well. Only a teenager still, 19 years old. He's got an OPS of 936. Did not call him up. Actually, if it was a little higher, I would have probably called him up. But he's got an OPS of 936, batting average of 284. He's doing a really excellent job down there. Nice to see him play much better, or nice to see him play really well. That now he's at an actual full season ball instead of rookie ball. So his first full season, he looks like he's going to be an excellent player, and he's going to just continue moving up my ladder as far as prospects are concerned. Is he even ranked? No, he will be, I think. He should be. And then we have center fielder Cedane Rafaela. I always butcher his name. He's a AAA. Not doing great. Currently just a 698 OPS, 255 average. Definitely not doing great. Would like to see him play more like this and this. But again, this is his first year at AAA. There's going to be some adjustment periods. But he'll get better, I think. He's a really good player. And then our DH, Brooks Brandon, but he's in the Florida Complex Rookie League, and they haven't started play yet, so there's nothing to see there. So that's it. Hopefully we can have a much better May and see ourselves either in a wild card spot or cut that division lead down to 5 games or less, and see how we do heading into the summer. So that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.